Do you even need to have an About page on your website? All signs point to yes. Many industry leaders mention the About page as one of the top 5 most important, claiming that people who visit a site's About page are more likely to convert than those who don't. Also, a 2015 web usage study states that 52% of visitors will check out the About page at some point during their session. In this video, I'm going to share some best practices for making an About page that will help visitors feel more connected to your brand and make them more likely to convert. Let's get into it. Hello creators, I'm Ben Tolson from Podia. It may seem like your About page isn't all that important, but the evidence points to the opposite. Around half of all visitors may see your About page at some point during their visit, so it makes sense to spend some time purposefully shaping the content so you can make the most of that opportunity. Ahead, I'm going to take you through 5 key elements your About page needs to have in order to deepen your connection with your visitor and make them more likely to take action. A picture. This might seem obvious, but in case you're not sure whether or not you want to include a picture of yourself, consider the following interesting facts about faces. Seeing a human face increases brain activity and cognition. Positive emotions on a human face cause the perception of future interactions to skew positive. A smiling face triggers the release of neurochemicals that reduce stress and increase happiness. What does this mean? Including a picture of your smiling face can help put your visitor in a better state of mind to take action. Not to mention, we feel more connected to a brand or product when we see that there's a real person behind it. Here are a few important things to keep in mind for your About page picture. Smile. For the reasons we listed earlier, smiling is important no matter what kind of brand or product you have. Quality matters. Having your picture taken by a professional who understands things like shot composition, lighting, and white balance can lend more credibility to your brand. Match your brand personality. Is your brand more professional or formal? Let your demeanor exude professionalism. Is your brand more playful and lighthearted? Have fun with your portrait and try to give off that vibe. Is your brand centered around family or community? Photograph yourself with those people. Now that we've covered your picture, let's talk about the copy. The next 4 elements are devoted to what your About page should say. A greeting and introduction. The first thing we do in almost any interaction with a new person is greet them and introduce ourselves. Our About page is no exception. Find a greeting that fits your brand and personality. It doesn't have to be clever or elaborate. A simple hi can do just fine. Next, introduce yourself with your name, title, and value proposition. Your name and title should be pretty straightforward, so let's talk briefly about your value proposition. Most value propositions follow a format like this. I help X with Y so they can Z. X is the type of person or business you serve. Y is a type of problem or struggle they have, and Z is some kind of desired outcome you can produce for them. Greeting your visitor up front helps them feel welcome, and introducing yourself and sharing your value proposition makes it easier for them to determine whether or not you might be able to solve their problem. Now that they know who you are and what you do, let's move on to the next element: qualification and credentials. Once your visitor knows who you are and what you can do for them, there's another important question you need to answer. Why should they trust you? By sharing qualifications and credentials, you're helping your visitor feel more confident that you can actually help them. These could be anything from certifications to degrees, awards, or specific accomplishment. Just keep in mind the following. Make them relevant to your brand. Yes, winning first place in a national spelling bee is super impressive, but that doesn't tell me much about your qualifications as a business coach. List 2 or 3 at the most. You want to instill a sense of trust without pulling too much of the attention to yourself. Choose familiarity over impressiveness. A smaller accomplishment associated with a name most people recognize will leave more of an impression than a big accomplishment associated with something unfamiliar. Weave them into your story. If you can, rather than list your accomplishments, share them organically as a part of your story. This leads us to the next important element of your About page. Tell a story about your personal connection to the problem. It may seem strange to hear, but your About page isn't actually about you. From the perspective of your visitor, your About page is about them. When a visitor lands on your About page, they're looking for answers to their questions, trying to decide if you're a good fit for them, trying to determine whether or not you can solve their problems. Telling a story about your personal connection to their problem or struggle is a powerful way to convince your visitor that you have a deep understanding of their experience. As you tell your story, answer questions like, what was your experience with the problem? What inspired you to look for answers? What journey did you take to build a solution? Telling your story not only helps your visitor feel like you understand them, but it also demonstrates a personal commitment to solving their problem that you can't convey just talking about your product or service. Finally, we're going to bookend your About page content with a bit of personality. Share something unique or interesting about yourself. The goal of your About page can be summed up with 3 words: know, like, and trust, taken from the popular saying, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. While most of what we've covered addresses knowing and trusting, this element is all about liking, or to use another word, affinity. Sharing something unique, interesting, or maybe even surprising humanizes us. It makes us more relatable. We tend to feel an affinity for people with whom we share things in common, but just knowing more about a person's hobbies or interests in general warms us to them. Here's an example. For a time, I made a modest income as a hand lettering artist and produced hundreds of original pieces. I still love sitting down and sketching out letters from time to time. Now you know something about me that maybe you didn't know before, and I bet as a result you're thinking, Ben used to draw letters? Dang, I bet he'd be super cool to hang out with. All of these elements together can increase that know, like, trust factor, which is essential when it comes to turning a visitor into a customer. And don't be shy about closing out your About page content with a soft call to action. You don't need a big button or CTA section, just a bit of text linked to your newsletter or your contact page, or maybe a free product, gives your visitors a first step they can take toward becoming your customer. I want to hear from you. What are some elements you've included in your About page that have made an impact on your website's effectiveness? Let me know in the comments. If you found this video helpful and you're looking for more help on your creator journey, check out the video I've linked above, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.